Hi, this is Mitchell Levy, and welcome to episode 104 of Thought Leader Life. This has been a really amazing month with Kami Huyse, my co-host for the month, bringing on a spectacular set of folks who have joined us, and also the impromptu sort of interview style you did on the last show was absolutely spectacular. And we're talking about cause marketing. Kami, welcome again for the final episode. I'm going to miss having you around.
Thanks, Mitchell. It's been really great to be with you this month.
And so we'll have to do it again because it was really spectacular.
Yeah, we totally will.
Insightful, amazing. And I really enjoyed it. Today we have one of your former partners, Beth Kanter, trainer, author, nonprofit innovator. Beth, you are a co-author in one of the books in the Think Ahas series with Janet Fouts, and that was Social Media for Nonprofits. Welcome to the show.
Oh, thanks so much for inviting me. Great to be here, and great to see Kami again.
Hey, it's great to see you too.
So the question we've started with, that first initial question is sort of the softball, is what does cause marketing mean to you?
What a great question. And of course, as someone who's worked in the nonprofit sector all of her career for 35 years, I look at it from sort of the nonprofit lens. So we use the term triple bottom line, and I know Kami's very familiar with that term. So, on the business end, I know that their bottom line is about profits. With nonprofits, our bottom line is about doing good, making a change in the world, and that third bottom line is about the greater good of society. So I think cause marketing, or when it's done really well, you have all three happening at once. There's this alignment where the business is able to sell product or get some reputational benefits. The nonprofit is able to solve the social change problem that they're working on more effectively, and society benefits.
That sounds like a triple bottom line to me.
Ding, ding, ding.
And, well, the cool part is the fact that you guys have known each other and worked together. It is interesting to see the influence that you both have had on each other, and we have covered this topic, which is great. So for somebody who works in nonprofits and also somebody who is aggressively working on your now next book, what are you thinking about in terms of utilizing cause marketing to help get the book out or to spread the word of the types of things you're doing? What are some of the techniques, thoughts you have?
Well, I think I want to step back and maybe just talk a little bit about cause marketing in nonprofit world first, and then we'll go in that direction. So, Perfect. So most of my background, of course, as Kami and has been, sort of the intersection of nonprofits and networks and data, and that's translated to how nonprofits can use, incorporate social media, developing their networks, measuring their effectiveness to create social change. The two books I wrote, The Network, Nonprofit, and Measuring the Network Nonprofit. And so I see lots of examples especially in the last number of years, on really effective use of cause marketing that takes advantage of networks and also data. And I think the best one, because it's on my mind, because it happened just last week or so, is Giving Tuesday, which I think if you want to see some great examples of alignment behind how corporations can work together with nonprofits and how it can benefit society as a whole, I think Giving Tuesday is an excellent case study and laboratory. So, so the whole concept of Giving Tuesday, I don't know if you've talked about it before. It's it was developed by Henry Thames and Aaron Sheridan. They were sort of thinking about, this was 4 years ago. We had Thanksgiving, we stuff ourselves, and then Black Friday we go out and shop, and then you have Small Business Saturday, and then on Monday you have Cyber Monday. Why don't we have a day of giving? And not just a day of giving, why can't we have a global day of giving where we're actually just promoting this whole idea that people should give something, either time, their money, or just giving thanks, to make the world a better place. So, and initially, and so it was this kind of idea where all nonprofits would work together, many corporations would contribute to it, many individuals. And what has it evolved? It's really magical what happens on Giving Tuesday if you've noticed, and I think they've done a spectacular job of bringing in specific corporations. Each one designs their own type of cause marketing strategy that benefits their corporation, their product, their name recognition, but is also contributing to this idea of giving back or helping nonprofits raise money on the day. I'm thinking of the things that a lot of obviously. Some of the no-brainers were the giving platforms. Indiegogo and CrowdRise are both well-known, and Rezu are both well-known crowdfunding platforms that nonprofits use. So they, for their corporate cause marketing, they put up some money that nonprofits could use to raise matching funds on Giving Tuesday. Just a simple example that then played into the whole Giving Tuesday idea. So I think that's a terrific idea of an example of cause marketing in the nonprofit sector. So where I've been going, so I've been an early adopter in the internet space. I got started with nonprofits and internet back in 1990. When there were just a handful of us online, experimenting. And so I've seen the field really evolve in the use of technology and in networks. And so now, when I started, I ran around saying, you need to be on the World Wide Web and you need to use email. People go, what? What's that? Why should I give up my fax machine? I have FedEx overnight for my proposal to the foundation. Why should I bother with this? And then about 13 years ago, I started blogging, and I was running around. You should be blogging. You should use social media. And there was met with a lot of skepticism. And I'd say, in 2009, with the Arab Spring, that started to turn a lot of heads in the social change sector. That wow, this stuff is really powerful. It's not a fad. It's not going to go the way of pet rocks. It's not going to be obsolete. And now more and more nonprofits. I forget, what is it? 82% of nonprofits. No, it's actually higher. It's 97% of nonprofits, according to a Black Pod study. Use Facebook. So it's become a way that nonprofits do their work, and it's also become a digital society. Just look outside, look at your dinner table, or look across at other diners at restaurants, and they're all on their mobile phones. Think about in your own life how much we rely on these technologies just to conduct our lives. And I think about my kids. They use it for their homework. Or the amount of texting now I get. Pick me up from soccer, and on to the next thing. And but no one's really taught us how to, in the nonprofit sector, how to deal with all of this, okay? How to balance it, and I think that we can't, and this is also causing, a feeling of being overwhelmed and being overworked, and also, some burnout. But I don't think we can blame the technology completely, and I don't think it's an opportunity for nonprofits to, for us to say, oh, we're not going to use the technology. What lies underneath of this is that we have a field of very passionate people who are social change makers, and the mindset in our field has been, if you're not working 20 hours a day, if you're not like living and breathing your passion about this, whatever social change it is, whether it's Black Lives Matters, whether it's climate change or whatever, you're not really doing your job. You're goofing off, And then couple that with this thing that we have called the scarcity mindset, the culture of not having, doing without. We don't have any money, so we're not going to, do it. We can't take time off. We're overworked. So instead of not having the ability to hire more staff, we're just going to work ourselves even more. So I think this is contributing to this, burnout that we see. And so the book that I want to write it's called The Happy, Healthy Nonprofit: Achieving Impact Without Burnout. So I want to make a case that taking care of oneself and create a culture in the organization of taking care is really part of the work. We can't separate it. It's not a luxury. It's not something you do on the side. It is part of the work. In the self-care. Go ahead.
I was going to ask you a question, because I think that that's really important what you're saying there, and I'm wondering what the corporate responsibility or whatever, like the corporations that are working with these nonprofits, how they can help to make that better. I mean, because it almost seems to me that there's a cause marketing campaign within inside of that. How can we then support the nonprofits to do better work? I mean, that could be somebody's cause by keeping them healthy. Yeah.
Oh, definitely. I mean, there's a couple directions. When you just said that question, my mind started to flood. So let me try to parse this out. Okay, so, I mean, first of all, there is definitely, on a corporate side, there's the savings in healthcare costs. If I'm actually, if my workplace is encouraging me to take a lunch break away from my computer, if they're encouraging me to do walking meetings, to have a standing desk, to practice some mindfulness, to make sure that I'm brushing my teeth and taking care of my teeth, that I'm going to the doctor, that they're putting healthy snacks in the break room, they're doing some education around financial health, all of those things that we need to have be a whole person and take care of ourselves, then that's going to that lowers health costs. There's lots of studies that have documented that, and it also increases productivity and engagement. It makes it, a happier and healthier workplace is more effective, and it affects the bottom line. So if there are businesses that want to that are aligned with that, that would be a great cause to take them on. The one that comes to mind, of course, is all these healthcare devices that we're wearing. Fitbit.
Yeah, that's great.
I was going to say, for those listening on radio, on podcast, Pat's sitting here holding up her gorgeous Fitbit, which has been very good for you over the last period of time.
Yeah, well, let me tell you my burnout story. I had to pose the question: why is it that something extreme has to happen to people who work in nonprofits before they change their behavior, okay, and begin to get this idea that self-care is part of your work? So in my case, I was definitely not taking care of myself, and I went in to get my doctor to get my annual checkup, and I got my numbers back, okay, and my cholesterol was like at 399, and the blood sugar numbers were, I wasn't diabetic, but I was in that pre-stage, and my doctor was like, you got to do something, or I'm going to have to put you on statins, or you're going to end up, really, getting sick. So before you go on you go on statins, you can't just take a pill. You really have to change your lifestyle. So I said, okay, I'm going to start exercising and eating healthily. So in order to do that, I had to monitor things, okay? So I found out about Fitbit. This was in 2013. None of my colleagues had them. And it was great because I could actually, figure out how much was I actually moving around during the day. And it was really sad because my baseline was like 1,000 steps, which is not, and today I'm up to 25,000 on a good day, between 20 and 25. So
Nice.
I gradually started upping my step count, trying to think about how can I incorporate movement as much as possible, and then also getting all my friends to get Fitbits, all my colleagues. In fact, I didn't have any friends with Fitbits, and now I have at least probably 50 or so, and I compete with them every day. It keeps me motivated.
Nice. By the way, influencer marketing, just for those that are listening, find somebody who could use your product and have them tell their friends. Good job.
Yeah. So I think those are perfectly in line with the book. Healthcare organizations, healthcare plans that want to get more coverage in the nonprofit sector. There's lots of opportunities. Of course, I have to finish writing the book. Manuscript's not due for a few more months, but.
Well, I was just thinking about Fitbit, like even bigger. Wouldn't it be cool if Fitbit came out and said, we're going to have this campaign for making the people that help the communities grow be healthier, and like give a discount to like all nonprofit people and that are in nonprofits so that they'll get one and that they'll use it and that they have a community around it and that we help the people who are helping us.
That's
so
a great
right suggestion.
on, because I've been interviewing some of the larger nonprofits do have, if they have an HR department, they do have a wellness program, although they've limited resources to implement it. And I was just interviewing a couple national nonprofits, and I said, so do you have, Fitbit offers this, workplace. You can get, you can buy them and get them for your employees, and you can monitor. Because no, we can't afford it.
Right.
They're doing wellness on bare bones resources.
Right. And how do you put that into your budget? See, that's the other thing with nonprofits is that we have this issue with nonprofits being able to justify expenses, right? Because everybody's looking at what their expenses are to their ratio of whatever they're doing. So how do we get this into their hands so that they can use them to improve their health so that they can help improve the health of the community.
Right, and also lower their healthcare costs, because that's one way that they do justify wellness
cost.
programs is that it reduces the premiums on healthcare insurance that's offered to employees. And what's really cool, it's also done as, at least the ones I've talked to so far, as there's a lot of education that goes along. So, like, for example, I think it's the Humane Society, that if their employees attend the 6 different webinars about how to self-care, they get a discount on their health insurance. So it's sort of motivational.
Great. Yeah.
So it helps everybody.
Well, it would be great to see a Kaiser or a healthcare company to actually take up the charge of going after nonprofits, not just lowering the fees, but being able to provide some tool sets like a Fitbit or something else, like books, education. I mean, they're doing some education today, but doing things that can help those workers change their lifestyle. I think that's pretty cool.
It is, and I think it's so needed. I mean, I've been doing a lot of design labs around the country with people who work in the nonprofit sector, getting to think about, like, it's sort of sitting with the problem. Like, I want to explain, what is this mindset, and what is it like to work in your organization? What are your wellness what kind of support are you getting? And if you could come up with this, innovative idea, what would it be? And one of the things I kept on hearing, and I have to actually fact check it a little bit more, but that, wow, a lot of us do have these healthcare plans that do have these wellness options, but we're not taking advantage of them. But we're just crying poor that we don't have the resources. The resources are there. So this could be a great way for some of these corporations to educate their clients, existing, potential ones, about, to take advantage of these.
That absolutely sounds like cause marketing. And it's funny, I've had very similar conversations. I'm going to hold up to the screen. Daniel Coteras has a book called Mindfulness that just came out, and he's talking about the same sort of thing inside of corporations, is to figure out how best to do it. And of course, our sponsor, Vader Foods, produces prepackaged food for diabetics and pre-diabetics. And what's interesting with Vader Foods is the doctor that runs it, Dr. J, who we actually had on last show, so thanks, Kami, for helping to make that happen,
sure.
Is focused on helping employees think differently and take care of their health. And so, Beth, what I'll reach out to you. We're just about ready to start a webinar series, a monthly webinar where we actually go into corporations and we just go through and talk to them about more of the holistic lifestyle and how to do things. And would love to be able to introduce your book when it's out, and that would be great.
Great. I would love to interview him as well, because there is definitely a piece of the strategies and techniques that we're covering is definitely mindfulness, not only individually, but also these programs that can be rolled out in organizations. And I have yet to find a mindfulness program inside of a nonprofit. I'm sure it's there. I have found a lot of individuals who work at nonprofits who incorporate mindfulness individually, but I haven't yet seen a great example of one. And if any of your listeners know of any, I would love to see them, in the nonprofit sector, especially those
absolutely
nonprofits that are working with causes where people are extremely vulnerable. And this is where, these are the types of nonprofits that are on the front lines of being impacted by burnout and probably have more practices around preventing it. Domestic violence, refugee work, disaster relief, where there are horrific, horrible circumstances. They're trying to help people or animals in those circumstances, and so what happens is that they become like, oh my God, I can't take care of myself because I'm indispensable to this other person's needs. And that's where, this whole term, compassion fatigue has sort of come from.
Well, I think that's great you're saying that, because, when people are likely to die if you don't do your work, it can get very difficult to rationalize to yourself that you need to take time for yourself.
Exactly. Like, you can't pit, another thing that happens especially in like women's rights causes. Women's rights leaders sometimes are notorious for this. It's almost like within an organization they start to pit their personal needs against the organization's mission. So it's kind of like, oh, I need a self-care day. I need to go get a massage, and then that places this extra burden on everybody else who's answering like the rape crisis hotline. And so I have a couple great case studies of one organization that has then become, it's mind shift more, that we take care of ourselves to take care of the organization so we can take care of these people.
Yeah, and I think it's a great metaphor. The metaphor that really has helped me to understand that is the metaphor of the airplane oxygen mask. And actually a man, it's so funny. I was on a flight the other day, and I was talking to a man, and the lady came by and talked about the oxygen mask. And he goes, if I'm with my kid, I'm going to put it on my kid first. And I said, no, you can't do that. And he goes, why? I said, because you may be passed out before you get your kid's oxygen mask on. The point is put it on you so that you can then put it on him. And he's, oh, I've never thought of it that way. So it was interesting that somebody actually verbalized that to me, and I actually fought for the idea of putting on the oxygen mask first, especially when I'm definitely not the kind of person who does that in real life.
It's really interesting, that phrase, and all the literature search that we've done, and all the self-care literature, there's that quote, everyone uses that metaphor. And so I was trying to track down who's the person that said it. And Randy Pouch, the guy that did the TED Talk, who was...
Yeah, I totally know him.
I mean, it was attributed to him, but I don't know. I haven't been able to verify that. So... And also
when he's not around anymore. So.
Yeah, exactly. Or I got to track down that TED Talk.
I think you got to check Wikipedia, because if it's on Wikipedia, it must be true.
Yeah.
I'm going to hold off on saying anything about that.
I'll absolutely introduce you to Daniel Gutierrez on mindfulness, and also Dr. J in terms of the stuff she's doing, and we'll see if there's an interesting fit there. I think that's a great thought. I would love to learn more about what you're doing, and I think so. Let me re-ask the question that you sort of moved and meandered into, and that is, now looking at your book and what you're creating, what are some other cause marketing focused programs you think would make sense?
Oh gosh, that's such a great question. Well, I mean, I have to start to think about, I'm thinking out loud here, I have to think about, okay, so obviously there's that direct connect with the pillars of self-care, which are, your sleep, eating, and exercise. So that's healthcare, and then all the healthcare apps, etc. We have, one that came to mind is kind of a light example. The newest sort of fad are these adult coloring books. I don't know if you've seen these. I'm a total addict, because I'm sitting here. You can't see my desk, but it's filled with these magic markers.
Oh my God!
And so
she's always been a pen person, just so you know. And Wendy Pearsall is a friend of mine who does those. She does beautiful coloring books.
But it's a mindfulness technique, to sit in the morning, and color a bit. And so there's a whole industry of adult coloring books. So I was thinking, there's, that could be why not have an adult coloring book with ideas that are from the book, or some of the coloring book apps. There's lots of those. So that was an idea. Let me think some more. Treadmills, treadmill desks, standing desks. There's a huge section in the book that's going to be talking about walking meetings and standing at work. It's a topic I'm really passionate about, and I've been exploring a lot in my training practice. I do, and also looking at how can we incorporate like walking meetings as part of board meetings, board retreats, where we're sitting on our butts all day, And that's like, you can actually feel the malaise and the tiredness that comes over. So how do we encourage that practice? So, and there's a whole host of products around that. So also, I think all the meditation products that are out there, especially some of I have one actually on my desk right now that I have, Leaf. It's a necklace, but what it does is it's from Beat, and it kind of measures your stress levels. So it gives you some
It's
feedback.
like a mood
around.
ring.
Yeah, it's like kind of a
ring.
mood ring for your stress, or like a Fitbit for stress. And I kind of like it because it's a necklace. It's a little bit more elegant than than this, although I love this. So let's see what else. I mean, this is a totally wild, off-the-wall one.
And, I love those.
So another idea is also this whole need for sabbaticals, taking sabbaticals, and there's a lot of leadership programs and nonprofit ones that allow leaders to take like a sabbatical. So why not a resort that offers the space or something? I don't know.
No, I think that's great, and I know that religious leaders, actually, that's a very well-respected thing that they do. I mean, they'll go on a sabbatical, or, different religious leaders, so how can we kind of get that same practice to move into other kinds of nonprofit work?
Yeah, no, but I love the resort sort of saying, even if it's a significant discount or free for, hey, listen, you're the executive director of the X crisis hotline, and we'd love to host you for a week. Just put your credit card for incidentals and everything else on us. That would have some interesting press for whatever resort decided to do that. It's a nice idea.
And also, I don't know if you have. And I don't think it's just a Silicon Valley thing, but I know that there are chains that are massage parlors, or there's a whole chain. There's like a national one. So I was thinking
Massage Envy is the one that I think I see.
Massage Envy, yeah, I see that here too.
Yeah, because I've heard a lot like stories around like the Black Lives Matters movement. I mean, they had limited resources for wellness, so that they were doing things like, hey, I just got a Groupon coupon for a massage, and I'll give that to you, or else I've heard other stories from how someone on a nonprofit's board actually bought massage coupons for everybody on staff. But couldn't that be something a business could do?
Yeah, for a nonprofit. Now, of course, the problem with that becomes that there may be some bad press around that too. It's like these executives are wining and dining nonprofits. So there has to be, again, some kind of no strings attached kind of way of doing it. Alignment is really important here in this particular case. Don't you agree?
Yeah, and it would be alignment to being healthy. I mean, you'd have to be careful with. I mean, looking at this at the practice of self-care. So we think of moving from chronic stress to chronic self-care. What does that look like? There's different layers of it, and so at the base, there's really important things you need to do first, like all the health-related stuff, from sleep, exercise, food, and then there's a layer of things around. Oh God, there's somebody at my door, but I'm going to ignore that. I turned off the phone.
Yeah, well, you got most of it.
That's the joy of live radio, live interviews. Anyway.
Yeah, I'm not expecting anyone, so maybe it's just.
It might be the UPS person. You never know.
Yeah.
So, we only got a couple more minutes. What I wanted to point out, because you said it so fast, I love the phrase chronic self-care. I really love that phrase, and that's something that's worth doing something with.
It is kind of I was talking about where the pillars of self-care. So how can you be in chronic self-care? Boy, they're really knocking on the door.
Now they really want you.
Yes.
Tell you what, if you want to grab it, you can. We're coming close to the end of our 30 minutes. So
can I quickly answer the door?
Why don't you go quickly answer the door?
Okay.
And
all right.
Kami, it's been a phenomenal month. How would you wrap up this session, and please also, how would you wrap up the month?
Wow, I mean, I feel like we've gotten a lot of really amazing opportunities with this month. Hey, Beth's coming back here with us. Those of you who are on the video can see that. So yes, I would say that we've had an amazing month of really amazing kind of cast of characters, if you will, to talk about this whole issue of cause marketing and sort of the different aspects of it, because there's so many different aspects of cause marketing. It's not just straight up. We talked at the beginning of the month about the difference between corporate social responsibility and cause marketing and sort of how those fit together. We talked about what makes a good campaign in cause marketing and alignment with that. we've talked about really great examples all across the board of different ways that cause marketing can come into play, both for nonprofits and also for companies that are looking to do that. So I'm really glad that I wanted to finish up with Beth, because Beth just has that all-around background with this. I mean, from both sides of the fence, and mostly in the nonprofit side, clearly, but sort of how those kind of come together. And I love that, we're bringing this into all the way down to the self-care of the actual organizations that provide the care for the community, which to me is the true essence of what we have been calling the triple bottom line, which is, the cause, the company, the community. So I really appreciate that you're here today, Beth, because I really do believe you're bringing this to a new depth and kind of closing out the month on a good note. So
yeah, nice. And Kami, just remind everyone how to get a hold of you.
Yeah, you can get a hold of me on Twitter at KamiChat, KamiChat. You can also send me plain old-fashioned email, KamiChat@gmail.com, KamiChat@gmail.com. And yeah, I would love to hear from you either way.
Fantastic. Hey, Beth, is there a question that we should have asked that we didn't? And then also, how can people reach out to you?
I think we covered everything. And we had a great conversation, great summation, Kami. And you can reach me. I'm at www.bethkanter.org. There's a contact form up on the site that comes right into my email box. You can reach me on Twitter at Kanter. You can also find me on Facebook and probably any other social network there is. You'll see the red hat.
And thank you. And I'm sure you've seen, if you're in social and you're a thought leader, I'm sure you've seen the name Beth Kanter. But as a reminder, Kanter is Kanter. And certainly feel free to reach out to her.
And one thing, I don't want to interrupt you, but just so you know that my bookshelf behind me is not fake. It's actually my real bookshelf. This is Beth's most recent book, which is the Network Nonprofit, Measuring the Network Nonprofit, and you can pick that up as well. If you're a nonprofit listening in, you really should think about getting this book. It's a very good book.
Nice. Well, actually, it's very interesting. I'm meeting with a CEO of a company tomorrow who, if you take a picture of your bookshelf, they will figure out what all the books are and give you a free ebook copy of any of the physical books you have.
Whoa.
So I'm going to be meeting tomorrow and finding out the business model, and he's interested because we've got 800 books. He's interested in getting our inventory. That's kind of interesting. That's
a cool. I'd love that.
Yeah, I like it. For those looking at my title, so if you're on podcast, you're not seeing it. Over the weekend I was with Joel Comm, and Joel recommended that I change my title. And it took me a little while to think it through. I used to be the Chief AHA Instigator. I still am. But he recommended that I say I'm the Chief Instigator of Ahas, because when I stand in front of a room, I could say I am the CIA, the Chief Instigator of Ahas. So anyhow, it's been kind of fun. I had a great weekend in Atlanta. This month has been fantastic. You can reach out to me at just Google Mitchell Levy and grab me on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. Happy to talk with you. You can go for this show on Thought Leader Life, and you'll see it on YouTube, SlideShare as video format. You'll see it on the FIR network with Shell Holtz, as well as on iTunes, a couple blog posts. And Beth, you'll be part of another AHA book, because we'll be doing a book on cause marketing.
Oh, great.
The reason why it was great to have you at the end is also that the month of December is also a month where we're talking about culture. But this happens to be culture in for-profit, mid-market companies. So it's a very nice transition to talking about culture for nonprofits to culture for for-profit. So that'll be the end of our era. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Helpful. Great to have the two of you together. Thanks, everyone, for joining us for this episode of Thought Leader Life. We'll see you at the next time. Ladies, you were fantastic. Appreciate it.
Bye.
Bye now.
Bye.